We are finally going to be getting into our picks and bans for game number 1. Once again, Maryland, team out of the Big Ten, are going to be your blue side for game number 1. We're on the other side, second seed from the East, Ottawa. They're still looking for their road all the way into the playoffs. A little bit too loud on the music there, but either way, we will still be continuing this one out. Big three junglers still in that Skarner, the Olaf, the Trundle picks, none of those getting banned away just yet, except for the Skarner, rather, who has been taken away by the side of Maryland. That does still leave up quite a few options, and we've been seeing a huge change also with these tankier champions in the jungles, with the Graves buffs on 8.8. Even a little bit of Kha'Zix nerfs, everyone's starting to feel that moving around. I want to see exactly where they are going to put that first priority. As the mid lane in particular on the 8.8 patch has seen so many changes. A lot of high wave clear champions like the Rise, like the Talia, getting knocked down in priority and getting knocked down in power a lot in the early game. Definitely opening up for some of these more aggressive mid laners. You got some Echo coming back. You especially have the Zed, who's basically been getting buff after buff on the recent patches. Certainly coming to the forefront once more. I'll have to see if anyone's going to be that far out trying to grab one of those champions. And even the Ahri and LeBlanc, especially LeBlanc, has just come so much more to the forefront. So much, such a more bloody mid lane we have seen as of late, as the Kha'Zix ban is going to continue out this pick and ban. Swain's still probably one of the top tier champions right now in the mid lane and the top lane, with where so much focus is just put on not dying, getting that consistent push, and then being basically this unkillable tank that still deals damage in those mid to late game team fights. Still such a powerhouse in that pick respectively. And with the Trundle ban, this now only leaves Olaf as one of the top 3 trifecta junglers available. And remember, Maryland do have the first pick if they want to go that route. But you still got some other pretty high priority picks going around as well, with the Caitlyn and Morgana certainly coming to that mind. So this might be Ottawa actually saying, sure, you can have the Olaf, but we're going to pick away probably one of the strongest bottom lanes in the meta at the moment. And yeah, with the Zac ban, that's exactly what they're going to leave up. So now we actually have to see, do they follow through on that? You still have a lot of those top lane picks available as well, even with the Irelia on the rework. She is enabled for play in Collegiate League of Legends at the moment, but no, that's going to be the Caitlyn picked away first. So definitely hampering the possibility of getting the Caitlyn plus Morgana lane. Does open up Ottawa for the chance to deny one half that lane, and potentially even pick up the Olaf for themselves if they want to go for that. Still a lot more aggressive picks available, and even looking at the mid lane, Orianna has been a very comfortable early rotation if you really want to go for that. And everything is still up and around, but nope, there is the Morgana pick away. Don't want to give over the Caitlyn Morgana lane. It's basically impossible to lane against. You kind of just have to say, alright, either we're going to gank the hell out of this lane levels 1 through 6, or we're just going to let it be, put all our resources somewhere else on the map. But certainly Ottawa doesn't want to give up that much priority in the early game. Kai'Sa's also something that's really been coming back in. It doesn't have the strongest laning phase in the world, especially against something like the Caitlyn, but if you get Kai'Sa rolling in those mid to late stages of the match, she will just take the game and run with it. So powerful on the 3 to 4 item spikes. And usually a little bit cheaper also than the normal crit builds coming out of ADCs nowadays. The Caitlyn, the Jinx even. Well, the Jinx getting a little changed around a little bit, but all those early picks. And definitely making up for the loss of that Morgana. It's going to be the Karma plus Caitlyn, most likely going to the ADC and support positions. Of course, Karma still able to flex back and forth if you want still one of those high wave clear mid laners early in the game now that we've lost the Rise push, the Talia push. Karma is still going to rank up there as probably one of your top picks, and this is where we're definitely deviating from the meta quite a bit. We have not seen Rengar in so long, but still at the behest of the nerfing of recent tank junglers. Once again, the trifecta of Olaf, Skarner, and the Trundle. That is going to free up the Rengar, and you got to think, if this was in their playbook the entire time, they banned out the Trundle plus Skarner, two things that will actually be exceptionally good into that backline dive potential of the Rengar. So definitely, maybe we're very happy to leave this open as a counter, kind of bait University of Ottawa into this false sense of security picking the Olaf pick. But with our last pick of the rotation, University of Ottawa are going to be going for the Ashe and Morgana lane. And Ashe is someone who's been rising up in priority, especially with the shift of focus away from that bottom lane carries towards the mid lane as well. With so many of these aggressive picks, Ashe is a nice character. You can keep her in the bot lane. She's going to farm pretty effectively, even look for a little bit of poke with the shove on her W as well. So you don't have to worry about it too much. You don't have to worry about an Ashe getting absolutely demolished in the lane. And then also the additional utility you get with the mystical arrow. Very nice to have when you're trying to facilitate a lot of these earlier game ganks. And imagine comboing the Ashe ultimate with an Olaf Ragnarok in. Get the Ashe ulti, lock someone down long enough that it allows Harry Sixpack Olaf to just get up in their face. And at that point, there's basically nowhere else to go. But we do still have to look at the other two positions. And not a single solo laner has been picked up, except for, once again, potentially that Karma. Could be making his way into the hands of either White or Quirk. Now, University of Ottawa will have to show off one of these laners. Probably going to be putting my money on the top lane, as so many more things are available right now. The Ornn doesn't seem like too bad of a pick, especially with the Ashe already for the engage potential. Just having the Call of the Forge God available facilitates some of these engages, combo with the Ashe and the Olaf for this sort of rundown team fight in the mid to later stages of the match is going to be great for basically whenever they want to fight. If they ever get an advantage, or if they ever find a pick, they can easily convert on that. And even on top of that, when you're thinking about, okay, what's a top laner we want to blind pick, Ornn usually will not let you down. Sure, there are some counters. We've seen stuff like Camille, like the Fiora, being picked as sort of the you can win the early game, will win the late game sorts of counters, but the Cho'Gath much more along the lines of we're just going to keep this game going in the early game. Cho'Gath still able to sustain through the poke of Ornn. Definitely not going to have as much team fight impact unless he gets some great consumes out, but he is still that big, beefy frontliner tank you always want when you already have a Karma plus Caitlyn as your backline. it does look like the Tahm Kench lock-in will basically guarantee the Karma going into the hands of White for this mid lane on the side of Maryland. Looking to see if they can get that initial push, but this does leave Ottawa open for the counter pick. And we've been talking about this one a lot, and actually going back and forth between two of those really resurgent mid lane assassins. And no, he's going to instead opt into the Zoe. We'll have a little bit of a harder time pushing up against Karma in the laning phase. Would especially like to see Karma go for an early banner of command in the mid lane, just for the shoving potential, just for the fact that there is physically no way Zoe can actually answer it at all. But on the backside of that, if you're able to find any sort of snowballing advantage with the Zoe, the rest of the team might as well not exist. Still need to be careful with Quirk. Just on the Tahm Kench, the Quirk of the Champions able to consume most people out of the way from a lot of those early game, early, mid, late game. Whenever you get drowsy, you can easily pull someone out of that to protect them for quite a while. And now we do see both teams in their entirety, no more trading going back and forth. And already the first thing that starts to really stick out to me has to be the draft from Maryland. Ottawa makes a lot of sense. You have this nice scaling curve where you have Ornn in the top lane, still going to be able to go pretty aggressive in the lane versus Cho'Gath. Olaf's able to facilitate a lot of those mid-game fights, especially with Ashe, Zoe, and Morgana as his kind of CC enabling laners. Certainly not going to be able to really run over any lanes, but could find some advantages here and there. And then down to the bottom lane, Ashe Morgana. It's just a solid lane. It's not going to destroy Caitlyn plus Tahm Kench. Going to be able to go pretty aggressive, especially if Morgana goes for the W max into a melee champion like Tahm Kench. Could even have the potential for a shoving ball lane from Ottawa. But the disconnect from me has to be the transition to team fight. Because this Maryland squad with Rengar, especially Rengar plus Cho'Gath, are going to be looking for team fights where they can start on the back line and then move it on to the front. Caitlyn might be at a little bit of her own. Caitlyn, rather, going to be a little bit on her own during these team fights, as probably Tahm Kench going to be helping out that die duo of the Rengar and the Cho'Gath, trying to knock off either Psychonics or open backpack at the start of each of these team fights. The one thing I do have to say I really enjoy about the Maryland composition does have to be Karma in the mid lane shoving against a Zoe. I think that Ottawa definitely are putting themselves in a little bit of a pressure disadvantage in this matchup in particular, especially if you get that Banner of Command rather in the mid lane at some point on the Karma. Because great thing with Banner of Command, you cannot damage it with AP, you cannot damage it with magic damage. Zoe is exclusively magic damage. What is Zoe going to do if there is a Banner minion in her lane? The answer to that one, thankfully, is basically not a damn thing. So, I'm going to see if they're going to look for that shoving advantage, and either way, Karma should still be out shoving open backpack Zoe. White should be able to find his way around the map, and that's where the Maryland composition really comes to fruition. The Rengar plus Karma Rones, plus if Yang is very conservative with his teleports back to lane in the top side, they have so much potential for these huge cross-map plays that if they get one rolling, Ottawa might not be able to catch up, but this is all speculation at the moment. We will have to still see whether or not Maryland are going to be able to pull through with this early to mid-game rotational-based team composition, or rather, Ottawa is going to be able to pull this one out to the late game, get that Ashe to a nice point where she can really just carry on throughout the later stages of this matchup, but either way, we are just a few short seconds away and one short spectator delay from the start of this matchup where both teams potentially have their playoff lives on the line. Winner of this matchup between Maryland and Ottawa will most certainly either A, secure their spot outright at the LA Finals at the Collegiate Final Championships, or rather, be guaranteed at least a tiebreaker at the end of the day today, or some other tie-breaking mechanism. Basically, they won't be knocked out just yet, while the loser has to win their next matchup to even have a chance of moving on. So much on the line. But before we get into that, got to shout out to a few sponsors here at the Collegiate Star League, as we are bringing to you the majority of the cast and the coverage for the Collegiate League of Legends play in stage. And of course, if you want to check out our Discord and stay up to date with what we're doing, make sure you hit !Discord over in the chat to be caught up on all the casts, all the streams, all the matches that we will be broadcasting throughout the rest of the season. Twitter.com/CStarLeague or Twitter.com/CSLLOL if you want to follow us on Twitter. Also on Facebook, we have a Facebook.com/CStarLeague if you want to follow us that way. And of course, nothing but gratitude to the largest streaming platform in all of gaming to support collegiate esports, PAX East to West, and many more. The events, the CSL wouldn't be what it is today without the help and support from those boys over at Twitch. And of course, last shout out has to be going over to Juice Battery, who's been helping us fuel all of our coverage of the Collegiate League of Legends playoffs all throughout, and hopefully we're going to get you guys a jam-packed, energy-fueled end to this season. And of course, loaded on into the game for match number 1 of Maryland versus Ottawa. Both teams potentially trying to secure their spots at the 2018 Collegiate Finals all the way in LA. Certainly quite a path left for both these teams, and so much left to be seen. But first of all, we have to do the roster rundowns. And on the blue side for Maryland, it's going to be Yang in the top lane, Wezzy rocking the jungle, White mid lane, and already plus Quirk rounding out the Maryland composition on ADC and support. And on the other side of the rift, currently making a very aggressive invade, it's University of Ottawa. Jokin in the top lane on the Orin, Jungle Harry 6-pack, mid lane open backpack, Psychonic in the ADC role, and Digital Lotus rounding out the rest of that composition on support. And so far, University of Ottawa going for a very aggressive invade here. They know that they have the advantage of the Morgana Dark Binding, so this is basically free. If they run into anyone or any true armed resistance, they can just keep on going. But that will be traded back and forth as basically everyone will know where each jungler is starting off, and that certainly can be a detriment for Wezzy on the Rengar. Definitely a champion we don't see very much in the meta, but your normal playstyle with the Rengars, you just want to get to level 6. You want to enable those ganks, and Harry 6-pack, especially if he can get shoving lanes in either the top lane or the bottom lane, can easily go for some very aggressive invades. But it does look like we will have both junglers currently starting this match out on the bottom side of the map. And not too much craziness coming out for the builds just yet. Certainly thing to note is alrighty in the bottom side has opted in for the Doran's shield over the D-Blade. Definitely respecting the poke damage that both Psychonics and Digital Lotus can put out down here. But with that lack of damage, definitely expect this University of Ottawa bot lane to have the consistent shoving advantage, potentially opening the door for the bottom side of the jungles if Harry 6-pack does want to get in here. Though he has actually noticed Wezzy went up to the top side after that first buff, So he's going to be very happy taking away this Raptor camp, potentially even the Krogs, maybe even making a bit of a cheeky move down to this bottom side. And of course, trying to get this University of Ottawa team rolling in the early game is going to do so much about preventing. Not too much, actually. Harry Sixpack is currently in on the mid lane. White has to flash away Undertow. Not quite going to be enough, but I mean, that is just an investment in the future here. But so far, Yang has roamed down from the top lane, looking for a very aggressive dive in the mid lane, but not anything going to be picked up there. Not even a summoner spell, as the University of Ottawa are very solidly going to be walking away with the advantage here. Yeah, so far engaged on the backside. We haven't engaged right on the red buff. Wezzy gonna be able to take off the first kill of the game, but the numbers game is just here for University of Ottawa. Open backpack has to flash away with somebody else's flash. Yang Ni now stuck in a 2v1. Yokin trying to fight his way back on out of this one, but doesn't look like he's gonna be going anywhere too soon. And now it may have been the first flash of the game, the first gang going for Harry Sixpacks and University of Ottawa, but now Maryland gonna be picking up the easy 2 kills in the jungle. First kill going over to Wezzy. Second one going over to that top lane in Yang Ni. And this is going to very quickly potentially snowball into a little bit too much. Wezzy definitely looking for as quick of a level 6 spike as humanly possible in this matchup. Not sure why the in-game sounds are not currently being picked up. We'll quickly work on that one for you, as definitely not too much is happening in the game just yet. Yeah, we'll get this one working for you guys in just a second. There we go. We should have the audio playing currently over the rest of the Discord. Jump, flash in goes. Digital has to jump on the way, but here's Wezzy on the bottom side of the map as well. Already trying to push on forward. Ignite currently taking for Digital Lotus, and one Pilt over Peacemaker is going to be all it takes. Yokin tries to get the fight going, has the backup, but it's just not there in time. Yang with the unfortunate last second flash away. Going to be unable to avoid the death. There's a 2-for-1 trade once again. It goes in favor for the University of Maryland. And I mean, this is the kind of early game that they want. They love this chaotic style where you get the rotations coming on through, and once Wezzy especially does hit that level 6 mark, he's going to be very happy to just press R, go invisible, basically be a terror on whatever side of the map you want, though he does still have to catch up now, as he is at a bit of an XP disadvantage in this lane. Okay, make sure. See if you guys in the chat can now hear the in-game sounds. Looks like you can, so sorry once more about that. But now, as we round into our 5.5 minute into this matchup, we can currently see that all the early game fighting has currently been paying off in favor for Maryland. Still quite a bit of a scaling game, going back and forth, with the most notable advantage on the map being Harry Sixpack. Rocking that level 6 mark, certainly holding the advantage over Wezzy, who still has to back, so certainly a good chunk of time where that Ragnarok could definitely come in handy. But breaking down the rest of these lanes, top lane, the biggest, at least solo lane discrepancy with Yang. Having an absolute dream of an early game, did die once to the gangster on the top side of the map, but still with a 2-1-1 scoreline, nearly doubling the CS of Yokin this early on in the game. This is a Cho'Gath that you cannot rule out at any point, and it's going to be very crucial, especially in trying to find the backline pressure onto Psychonics, on an open backpack in these games. And potentially the best part for me is just the roaming ability coming out of him. Hell, he made a level 2 play in the mid lane as the top laner and still has the CS advantage. Dragon does fall as a bit of a consolation prize currently for University of Ottawa. Harry Sixpack going to be very happy to pick that one up, as big change on the wind rate coming a few patches ago was the fact that it now gives you bonus movement speed while in a fight. Certainly going to be very useful for either low mobility carries like Psychonic here on the Ashe ADC, or Harry Sixpack, who is already going fast but would just love even more. Now, no level 6 just yet, but Wezzy is making his way onto the bottom portion of this map. No teleports available, so this will be a true 3v2 fight. But actually, Digital Lotus might have noticed something as Wesley jumps on forward, but gets caught in the dark binding. A little bit of a misplay from Wesley there as he uses the sweeper, walks a little bit too far forward, triggers the ward in the next bush and gives himself away, but Yang does have to be careful on the top side, gets knocked up immediately. Ragnarok goes on through, and that's just going to be enough damage as Yang goes down for absolutely nothing, and that is unfortunately just what happens when you have a failed gank on the bottom side of the lane. Harry Sixpack knows that he is perfectly free to do whatever he so pleases on that other side of the map, and going to be making it look pretty darn easy. Ace Null going on for just a little bit more damages. The entirety of the top side of the map is just completely falling into University of Ottawa control. As he finally gets to level 6, has the ultimate, but doesn't have that much support. Tries to go in on Digital Lotus, but the Ash shot does come on through. Now here comes the rest of the squad. Already getting it locked down as well from the Dark Binding, so quite a bit blown there. University of Ottawa doing a good job making sure they do get out of that bot lane fight alive, but what are they going to be trading back in response? Teleport comes out, so that's Yoken going down to the bottom lane. He might actually be sacrificing quite a bit just to keep this bot lane tower alive. Yoken's gonna actually stick on down here. He doesn't have Call of the Forge God to initiate a fight, and there's not even a dragon on the bot side of the map for them to take, so while I do acknowledge that definitely the TP is necessary if you want to save that first tower of the game, you want to prevent that huge gold spike Maryland would get from knocking down that bot lane T1, you're also blowing a pretty big cooldown in the top lane teleport when Yang has already shown he is very active when looking for plays to pull through that one, and it's also going to cost him quite a bit of CS and XP on the top side of the map, whereas Yang, once again, is just finding lead after lead. Looking at the raw gold lead itself, 3.3 to 2.8, 500, definitely nothing to scoff at, especially in the early game top lane matchup. And definitely some more trading going on back and forth as we didn't mention in the early game, open backpack should be getting shoved in pretty reliably here, but with the minion dematerializers and a blue buff just on the top as he has stolen away from University of Ottawa, that will give him the advantage finally, and now this Maryland team that relies on the early game rotations, especially originating rather from the mid lane, are getting shut down quite effectively. And now we're getting another movement down towards the bottom side of the map. Wesley is back once more, and thankfully he's got Quirk to sweep it out this time before even looking for anything else. Still, only TP on the map is available for Yang, so this could very quickly turn into a 4v2 dive down on the bottom lane, completely uncontestable. Though it looks like University of Ottawa, they're gonna be smelling something a bit fishy here. A ping did go down onto Wesley. Not sure if they're gonna find him just yet, but the delayed play and the shoving on the top side of the map should be all University of Ottawa needs to cancel out this potential bot lane play, and that was a lot of setup for a play that's unfortunately not going to come to fruition. Yeah, still pushing up. This would be the exact time they need to pull the trigger, and once again, they are not going to. That is a wave wasted in the tower, and I mean, just look at the advantage already that Harry Sixpack has over Wheezy in the jungle. I mean, you've been feeling these XP leads ever since that 8.0 patch when catch-up XP was removed, and now it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. 3.5k to 4.5k, 1,000 full, but now this delayed play is actually giving University of Ottawa the time to actually make the first rotation down. Ultimate comes on down, Digital Lotus jumps on forward, gets out with a sliver of HP, ace in the hole, actually going to find its mark on the Digital Lotus, but now we got the follow through. Harry Sixpack, he's looking for all that he can. Flash forward from open backpack, but not going to find anything else as a result, and it looks like that will just be a 1-for-1 for now. White still pushing on forward. Teleport still available for Yang in the top lane, but not going to be coming down just yet. Is overall a pretty solid victory, rather, from the Ottawa squad. What could have made a little bit sweeter with somebody being the good guy, stepping in front of Digital Lotus to prevent that ace null from picking up its kill on the mark. But with such a slow execution coming out of Maryland, they were just not able to pull off that play. Gets read like a book from the Ottawa squad and turned right back on their heads. And with that still, University of Ottawa are still holding on to their bot lane tower for now. And it doesn't look like Alrighty or Quirk are going to actually stick around to try to finish someone off. So even more time being bought out by the arguably better scaling composition for University of Ottawa. Weezy now has to be careful. Harry Sixpack, he's in this jungle with the level lead. He gets in with the Drowsy, and at that point, he is just dead to rights. Another kill. Going on over to current MVP Harry Sixpack, who has been a part of every single kill so far this game. 4-1-1 the scoreline for this Olaf in the early game, and he's just trying to run away with it. Movement starting to come from University of Ottawa around this dragon on the match. So 13 minutes in, second Windrake will be secured in. As luck would have it, the last dragon of the game will also be that Windrake. But now, moving up to the mid lane, don't know if White's seen this. Psychonic actually lands the arrow, but White does have the cleanse to get out of that one in time. Is this enough, though, to solidify this tower? Because Psychonic and Digital Lotus moving up here, despite a TP going across, still means first tower going over to Maryland on the bottom side of the map. And now, it is full retreat. University of Ottawa trying to get on out of this fight, but who's really engaging on who? Weezy finds the engage on Aries Sixpack, maybe looking for a little bit of retribution. What flash forward from White to solidify that lockdown, and now it's going to be University of Ottawa who are on the run. Maryville taking down that first kill of the fight, and with the 5v4 advantage, plus remember, they have a Caitlyn on the team, maybe looking for a bit more of a push in the mid lane, or rather, they're going to be falling back potentially to this Herald, trying to pick something up off this fight. A bit more damage coming down for already, but without any backup, it's not going to be getting too dreadfully much. First tower in all that craziness did still go down in the bottom side already, plus Quirk were able to grab that tower, use a Tom Kench Missile Voyage, make it their way back up to the mid lane fight, and still have time to find a kill, and now also that Rift Herald. So finally the chaotic style for Maryland starting to pay off just a little bit, but Open Backpack has to be pretty careful here as he's unable to find the Drowsy or the Sleepy Time Trouble Bubble directly on Alrighty in that fight. So Alrighty's gonna be pretty darn happy to walk away from that one all together. University of Ottawa with the Predator down in the bottom lane. Harry Sixpack not gonna use the Ragnarok just yet. Ball lane tower does still exist, and Psychonic was not quite in a position to help out just yet. So it looks like it will be a bit of an uneventful play there for University of Ottawa. And now at 15 minutes, now that they've actually lost that first tower in the game, University of Ottawa just need to be focused on dragging this game out as long as possible. Sure, Harry Sixpack will eventually start to fall off, but with the pick potential between Psychonic and Jokin, they do have the potential for making these rotational style pick plays, or maybe they don't want to sell out to like the 35-minute marcus. It's still going to be a rough fight either way, but just being able to play safe, wait for Maryland to make that awkward move definitely would help them out a lot. Jokin, though, finding the behind the back position, but who's ganking who? You have the Rift Herald being popped from Weezy. What is going on? He just completely whips that one up away. Lost the Rift Herald right there. Now University of Ottawa going for the very aggressive dive. Find the first kill. Quirk now trying to make his way out of this one, and that is just a massive outplay. Misplay, rather, coming from Maryland. I guarantee you Weezy thought that he was hitting down that sweeper. Unfortunately, start summoning the Herald right in the middle of enemy territory. Very unfortunate, but Ottawa going to be very, very happy on the back of that play, and that should very easily give them at least this first tower in the top lane, maybe even with room to rotate over to mid. Digital Lotus and Harry Sixpack are still hanging out in the top side, but with Consume going down onto that bannered up minion, don't expect too much more shoving coming out so far. At University of Ottawa, they're just finding absolutely everything they've wanted in this early game. Some of it's even being given straight to them. As we start to reset on this one, we can see the new lane assignments coming out from Maryland is they are still the ones that want to force these quicker rotational styled plays, still with Weezy on the jungle Rengar. Even Yang, who's having a decent game so far. Definitely starting to fall off a little bit after that extra death. Hasn't really found too much time to establish himself in the side lane. And most importantly of all, alrighty, Caitlyn hit that first spike. Going to be entering a bit of a trough now for a few minutes. But should be coming out of that one with the triple crit item overall. It looks like a majority of the focus so far from this Maryland team is going to be going back to that mid lane, try to force down that mid lane tower, as both T1 towers in the mid lane are so close to going down. Question has to be who's going to make that play first. Speaking of plays, on the top lane, I don't know if either of them noticed, but White has just completely walked past Digital Lotus and Harry Sixpack, and yeah, that's going to be immediately going in on the play. Black Shield goes down, doesn't even need the Ragnarok just yet. There's the Ragnarok finally going to be coming out. White able to cleanse away from the arrow, might buy himself enough time. Here comes Quirk, and already looking to turn around this fight. Ultimate goes down, Psychonic's going to be the first one to fall. Wheezy picks up the double kill as well, and unfortunately, University of Ottawa might have just bitten off a little bit too much more than they could chew. Alrighty, looking to put away that kill as well, and finally a little bit of retribution coming out from Maryland as they're able to easily pick up those 3 kills for absolutely nothing, and now they have full control of this map. Still pushing on top lane. It doesn't look like too much is going to come from Maryland just yet. Alrighty, and Quirk already on this top side pushing. Weezy not too far behind, but that could be a very dangerous TP if not properly supported. You'll see open backpack coming on up too. This will be a 2v4, but Weezy, he's looking directly for the kill on open backpack. Doesn't get the ward down in time, but is ace and low going to be enough to quit? Short answer is yes, most certainly. Kill plus tower going on over, and sure they may have traded back and forth a little bit of pressure, but now this is Maryland very definitively taking control of this match. Pushing down this mid lane potentially as well. Don't have the Caitlyn on the tower just yet, but this would definitely be a huge swing in the gold game. Knockup does land onto Psychotic, taken so incredibly low. But in the end, might actually just be the rotation over, picking up that third win drake of the game. Not going to press their luck too much more, as they're still waiting for quite a few members to hit some very key items. Windrake does go down, but now in the mid lane, pushing on forward. These are 2 very low University of Ottawa members, and I don't expect any sort of defensive game to come out here whatsoever, as Maryland do put themselves in a definitive 4K gold lead, currently going in favor for the squad in blue. Big Ten representatives looking to come up big and punch their tickets straight through to the Riot Finals over in LA. Certainly still a few more challenges left to face, but all signs point to yes as of right now. Looking now at our favorite game of all, the Banner of Command race. It does look like Yokin's going to be the only one in this match, at least for now, strictly building towards that banner. Certainly you do have a Aegis built on the bottom side for Quirk. Maybe turning that into a locket going on through. Also maybe turning it into a banner, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But the pushing game that that banner provides, especially when it's being answered by White of all people, it's going to be incredibly hard. And now that banner might actually just bottom them enough time to knock over that mid lane tower, get a little bit more gold going for them, but they need to find a way to better spread out this gold game. And now Wheezy gonna be forced off this blue buff. Predator to pop, but it doesn't look like a target will be identified. Now engage back in. Wheezy just completely obliterates Digital Lotus on the backside, but now here comes the counter engage. Psychotic just completely whiffs the ultimate, and now Yang on the backside gonna be finding a very easy kill onto the ADC himself. And now this is a 5 versus 3. Make it a 5 versus 2, and Baron buff, it's still on the board, but Maryland are going to be taking complete control of this one. Ottawa still with open backpack, and Harry Sixpack can still look for some sort of contest, but they need to be incredibly careful as they do so. And yet again, another Ottawa engage goes slightly awry. Open backpack caught between a rock and a cat with knife place. Gonna be finding the cat with knife in the end, and now it is only Harry Sixpack looking to defend, but maybe a little bit of an overreach as Quirk does Abyssal Voyage, trying to find Harry Sixpack himself, but then does find himself completely alone on the play, so certainly needs to be a little bit more careful with that one. But in the end, Maryland still going to be coming out with a very definitive, very solid end to that Baron play. Baron buff still on the board, but nearly a 5K gold lead being amassed by the boys in blue on this matchup so far, and things are starting to look a little bit dire if you're a University of Ottawa fan out there. Now moving on back to this Baron area, Jokin is in the bottom lane with absolutely no TP. This could be a quick Baron attempt. Remember, Cho'Gath has the consume. He can basically guarantee this smite fight, and Harry Sixpack has no way to get over this wall, but now Wheezy just takes out the opposition immediately, but might actually be traded back and forth. Spit out away once more, but Wheezy has to be careful to open backpack, but no, Weezy's going to take him down no matter what. University of Ottawa, they are sent nearly packing white, going directly onto Psychonic, and he's got nowhere left to go. One more Mantra Q would be enough, and that is going to be it. Weezy now has to be cutting back away as University of Ottawa has at least delayed the Baron at this point, but for what? Harry Sixpack going to be the next one to follow as White flashed out and over the wall, and last but not least, Jokin going to be nommed up, going to be spit right back out, and now that is a solid ace going for Maryland, and only Digital Lotus to contest the Baron this time, and I'm not quite sold that, that Ottawa can stop this Baron for a third time straight. And with that, with one more consume from Yang, going to be very happy to increase those stacks on the ultimate even further. And they're going to be solidifying themselves a Baron. And now, this could be the tool that Maryland has needed all match long to finally put Ottawa out of their miseries in match number 1. Of course, still need to catch an eye for that pushing out Banner Minion White with the arduous task of just knocking that thing down by hand with auto attacks. But now with that Banner Command Minion out of commission for the time being, one good push is all it could potentially take, and already starting to come out the other side of that ADC scaling. He's had a phenomenal game so far, 5-0-7, with basically a fully supportive Karma in the mid lane. You have the Ardent Sensor, you have the Luden's Echo just to buff off already to points you didn't even think possible, and it should be nearly impossible for this Caitlyn to die for Maryland at all. Harry Sixpack, though, he might try his hand at it. Undertow doesn't quite find anyone. Ultimate lands on the front side onto Yang, but he is just too incredibly tanky to go down. Wheezy looking for the backline dive, goes directly onto Harry Sixpack, but is unable to solidify that kill just yet. Jokin slashing himself into the wall, and that's going to be the first kill of the fight. Going down in favor for Ottawa, but now that's a trade 1-for-1. Takes down Wheezy, but open backpack. What price have you paid on the backside of that fight at all? And now TP comes back in from Yang, who's basically just going to be an unkillable front line at this point. Flash forward from Yang, but not able to find anything just yet, as this is still a 3 versus 4 rather. Sieging down of this mid lane. Not much University of Ottawa can do, as Jokin is still 16 seconds away from coming back up, finding lands onto Yang, but once again, he does not take damage this matchup. And with one more Mantra Shield, should be enough to get the rest of the Maryland squad out of the base, and they're going to be very happy with that Baron power play. Now, basically, immediately, a nearly 10k gold lead has been amassed by Maryland, as they are going to start to look to really solidify on this game. Blue buff does get stolen away by White, which is yet another tool to catch back up that University of Ottawa is denied away from. Yang now trying to make the plays onto the front side. Wesley's all the way around the other side of the fight, goes directly in, finds Digital Lotus on the front side, but now is locked down and taken out. Yang, he's getting pretty low on the front line too. No more tank, could be no more fights. Iconic plus open backpack. They're looking for the fights on the backside, but a mistimed ultimate from open backpack is going to be signing away the rest of that fight. Drowsy does land onto the Caitlyn, but already is immediately consumed, and you need to be very careful here if you are either Psychonic or backpack, as Maryland does have the inside track directly to the mid lane, not even mid lane, just the Nexus towers of this game, but it does look like Maryland will choose to travel the road less died on, as they do recall, grab a little bit more farm, and then really set up for their final siege of the game. Baron buff probably about 2 minutes away, and I will be shocked if the game even gets to that point. And of course, next drag of the game, and there should actually be one more drag after this if this does go down in a timely manner, but Ocean Drake, 4th dragon of the game, 2nd elemental for the side of Maryland, going on over. Basically uncontestable at this point, is all Ottawa can do right now is just pray and hope for one of these fights to go awry, that Psychonic or backpack are going to be able to catch a key member, but it feels like there are just too many threats to keep your eyes on, because either A, you pick out Wezzy and all of a sudden Yang is just walking into the backline, eating up your backline carries, or B, you catch out Yang, Wezzy kills your backline carries, or even C, you catch both of them and then already just able to headshot to death Iconic and open backpack. We're just being out damaged at this point. So many questions need to be answered for University of Ottawa in such a short time if they want to keep this game #1 alive. Predator popped from Harry, but gonna be completely unable to find anything on this fight. Is once again the ranks of both the Tom Kench and the Cho'Gath are just so intimidating for trying to start off one of these fights. And Wezzy on the back line looking to use the engage to ignore the slight slowdown on there. Did drop some water on the keyboard, but everything does seem to be going pretty well here as Yang gonna get rooted up, but not too much going on. Wezzy loses half the HP bar to basically one shot from open backpack, but does have the shields to fill the rest of that back up. So far, Maryland are actually being denied quite effectively here. And that's all Ottawa can really ask for right now. Just hold out this game. Maybe to the point where full items on Psychonics, full item on open backpack are enough to deal with this threat. But even so, it's going to take a combination of good farming, good scaling, and of course, good team fighting to even give them a chance back in this fight. And as things do start to settle down, keep your eyes on that top left portion of your screens, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute, 39 seconds remaining for this Baron buff. And if it goes over to Maryland, you might as well just go next if you are University of Ottawa, as there could just be too much power with the siege. One inhibitor already taken up, but on the flip side of that coin, the only way Maryland was actually able to get into this base, set up an effective siege, was with that Baron buff. So if you're effectively able to either deny or, God forbid, steal it away as Ottawa, you might just buy yourselves as much time as you could possibly need in this match. But it's still a very uphill battle as already Maryland going to work, making sure they've got this jungle all set up, and maybe seeing a little bit of a Fnatic bush coming here on this top side. If they find one pick, honestly, that could just be it. Would certainly depend on exactly who they actually catch out. Yang, the absolute beefcake of a champion, already immediately taken out. Takes out the backline support of Digital Lotus, but now Yang taken out quite low as this fight is still incredibly split up. University of Ottawa now getting jumped up by Wezzy, immediately deletes open backpack. That backpack has lost all of its strength. Flashes away from Psychonic, who's just desperately trying to stay alive. He is their only hope. Ottawa need to keep this fight going, but they continue already. Now starting to get back and forth in this fight. This basically has been an even fight. Yang, though, was given time to back off, is teleporting back into this fight, and now 3 versus 4 in favor for Maryland, still with a very healthy already and a very healthy Cho'Gath. Might just be able to break open this base once more. Now the question becomes, do they stay, look for that second inhibitor? Do they stay, look for the game, which I think the answer is just no altogether? Or do they go back for the Baron? They need to be careful because open backpack is back on the map. This could be yet another 5v5 fight. It may or may not go back in their favor. We do see finally the Baron up, the bannered up minion in the bottom lane starting to pull something out, but headshot on to Harry Sixpack as University of Ottawa are trying to gain some amount of control over this Baron buff. They know that this could be the end of the game right here if they let this one leave. Not going to be started up just yet, but fortunately University of Ottawa don't have any vision whatsoever. Finally getting one ward in up to the bottom side, but while all this is happening, check out this bottom lane too. Big bannered up minion going to be crashing into the tower with a giant wave, but now University of Ottawa, they're going to start pulling the trigger. Wezzy uses the ultimate for a little bit of scouting, but that means there is no jungler on the Baron just yet. Half HP and Harry Sixpack. There goes the jungler. There goes the smite chance, and there goes University of Ottawa's hope of taking this Baron buff away. Cho'Gath very easily going to solidify this as Yang, despite losing a jungler, is very, very easily going to solidify this Baron for Maryland. And Wezzy, 37 seconds down, certainly not the best situation you could possibly put yourselves in, but Ottawa, they're going to need a hell of a hold here if they want to even have a chance of coming back. 31 minutes into the game, about to be 32 with a 63 to 52k gold differential. Certainly not looking too pretty if you're an Ottawa fan right now. As we do prepare, we will have one last Elemental Dragon, and that looks like the RNG gods have blessed us, in fact, with that second Ocean Dragon of the game. 5th Elemental Dragon, whichever team does pick that up, will be a 3-Dragon Elemental, potentially even 3-Dragon Elder if we do get to that point in the match, but all signs are currently pointing to probably not. Ottawa starting to make their ways towards the bottom side of the map. They know they need to make a very quick play here with no inhibitor on the top side of the map. So if they want to pull the trigger, they've got to do it now, but very disciplined play coming out from Maryland. Missing. Ooh, White though, stuck between everything. Gets knocked up at the backside and will be going down, but Yang just goes for a quick snack on the open backpack. And Maryland are just completely taking over this fight. Wesley finds the next kill. And now Jokin trying to buy as much time as possible, but going to be immediately consumed and spit back out. And that just leaves one very low HP. Digital Lotus trying to secure this game one way or another, but all signs currently also point to no on this one. That's going to be a very simple push coming on in. Maybe looking for a little bit of KDA padding as Asenol isn't quite able to solidify that last kill, but it looks like actually we're going to get a surrender vote. Haven't seen one of those in a while, but either way, Maryland going to be very convincing in game number 1. Going to be able to pull out the W there, and definitely a great feeling to be nearly on the cusp of securing your spot, or at least securing that you will have complete control over your spot in those Riot National Championship Finals. They're looking pretty